Prime Minister holds phone call with EC President. And later on, EVFTA increases competition for retail sector. Welcome to BizLine, our weekly economic journal on VTV International. I'm Hoàng Hằng, and as usual, we now take a look at some news making headlines in Vietnam's economic scene in the past week.
Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc held a phone call with President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen on July 29th to discuss the implementation of the Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement (EVFTA) and bilateral cooperation in various fields. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc suggested the European Commission urge EU countries to ratify the EU-Vietnam Investment Protection Agreement (EVIPA) and quickly remove the yellow card on Vietnamese seafood products. The two leaders pledged to continue working closely together to implement effectively the EVFTA as well as fully tap its win-win benefits, contributing to prompting trade liberalization, cooperation and connectivity in the Asian-Pacific region, and recovering the regional and global economic growth that is profoundly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The EVFTA is scheduled to enter into force on August 1st, 2020.
The online forum EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA, took place on the afternoon of July the 29th in Hanoi. The event was co-organized by Voice of Vietnam in collaboration with the Union of Vietnamese Business Associations in Europe and the State Committee for Overseas Vietnamese Affairs under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Attending the forum were representatives of ministries, branches, 150 enterprises in Vietnam, and more than 200 Vietnamese enterprises from Europe and around the world. Vietnamese businesses have the opportunity to access the European market, a large market with about 500 million consumers. Vietnamese consumers also have access to high-quality and innovative European goods and services. However, opportunities will come with challenges, so the two sides' businesses should prepare plans to capitalize on the deal's benefits.
Although the end of the year is very difficult, the investment planning industry is still determined to follow its socio-economic targets according to the set plan. This was discussed at the online meeting of the Planning and Investment Sector 2020 with local authorities on Tuesday morning. In order to reach their goal, it is necessary to promote the disbursement of public investment capital at the highest level, accelerate the approval of outstanding dossiers and projects, and make the most of the opportunities to promote economic growth. Since the beginning of the year, the planning and investment sector has been closely monitoring the movements of the epidemic to evaluate and forecast the situation so it can give the government solutions to help maintain the country's economic growth.
According to the Ministry of Planning and Investment, as of July the 20th, the total foreign direct investment reached $18.82 billion. 1,620 new projects have received investment registration certificates, with a total registered capital of $9.46 billion. Processing and manufacturing industry are still the leading industry in FDI attraction, with a total investment capital of over $8.96 billion, accounting for 47.6% of the total registered investment capital. Next are real estate, wholesale, and retail. Singapore was the largest investor, which registered to invest $6.44 billion into Vietnam, followed by South Korea, China, Japan, and Thailand.
Vietnam has surpassed Thailand to become the second biggest rice exporter in the world. Statistics shows Thailand exported 2.57 million tons of rice in the first 5 months of the year, while Vietnam shipped nearly 2.9 million tons. Vietnam has succeeded in selling rice at cheaper prices than Thailand, and it has recently won contracts to export the commodity to key markets. In addition, the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement (EVFTA) being ratified also opens the door for more Vietnamese rice to be shipped to the EU. Those factors help Vietnam rise above Thailand to secure a second place just behind India. The country is expected to sell 6.7 million tons of rice abroad this year.
Vietnam's shrimp exports for June were at nearly $350 million, up 19.2% over the same period last year. Notably, shrimp exports to the U.S. increased by 54%, making the U.S. the top importer of Vietnamese shrimps. For import markets, the origin of seafood is always prioritized. This is clearly seen in IUU regulation of the U.S. Therefore, it is vital to prevent illegal fishing. The U.S. has been implementing programs to promote cooperation between the two countries to ensure sustainable maintenance and prevent illegal fishing.
Those are some highlights in Vietnam's economic scene. Up next in our crosstalk, we will take a look at how domestic retailers improve their competitiveness as the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement takes effect. With a fast-growing middle class, young population demographics, and robust consumer spending behaviors, Vietnam has been experiencing good growth rates in its retail sector. This trend is forecast to continue into the future, making the country more attractive to foreign investors. With the newly ratified EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA, how will domestic retailers face a burden of rising competition in the market, and how can they change their strategies to better compete with foreign rivals in the EU? Our Bizline this week will try to find out. But first, let's take a recap of Vietnam's retail sector in the first half of this year.
The unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic has negatively affected Vietnam's economic activities. However, statistics from the General Statistics Office, or GSO, show that the retail sector was among the main growth areas of the economy during the first half of this year. Specifically, the sector still grew by 4.3% in the period, with revenues up 3.4% year-on-year. Big cities such as Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Haiphong experienced the highest growth rates. The GSO said that the sector's positive growth was attributed to abundant goods supply and rising online shopping, especially during the social distancing period.
In order to take a closer look into the topic, we invited to our studio today Mr. Vũ Đức Nguyên, Deloitte's Vietnam consumer industry leader. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
First of all, how do you assess the retail sector during the recent times, especially amid the COVID-19 pandemic?
From Deloitte Vietnam, we have done several research and analysis on Vietnam retail market, and we see that with the very good economic growth, retail market has been growing very fast in the last decade. With the population of nearly 100 million people, we also have 60% of that is young population from 18 to 50. So with that, the spending is increasing every year. So with the growth rate of about 10%, so we can very confident to say that Vietnam markets will be continue to grow and will be very potential for foreign investor in Vietnam. Even the impact of the COVID-19 has affected all the economies, especially in retail market. We still see that retail market is still one of the important economic pillar, and also it still received a constant growth during this period.
Now, how has the Vietnamese retail market been changing in the past decade or so?
Well, if we look at the international retail markets, the current definition is about the supply chain. But those things has been changed and shift to the new thing that we see in meeting the demand of consumer and improving consumer experience in purchasing. So with that, we see the new model. They say that it's now shift from product metric into consumer metric. In that, consumer is center of all the supply chains and all the activities that retailers want to get on. Look back into Vietnam market, retail market, we see three trends. The first one, we see the higher competition from foreign players will come into Vietnam, especially with EVFTA. We expect that a lot of foreign players will come into Vietnam. They're going to expand the market, and also they're going to do the M&A, merge and acquisition, to get the market share and also to attract the new consumer to their retail chain. The second one we see is that even the Vietnam markets have grown and shift to e-commerce, but our analysis we still say that traditional distribution method, largely based on bricks and mortar channel, is still very important and that change will still dominant in the future. So with our research, we see that 98% of the sale revenue still come from traditional brick and mortar models. Only 2% sale revenue for retail come from e-commerce or omnichannel. That trend, I think that we need to see few more years to see the effective on retail market in Vietnam. And the last one, of course, we talk a lot about digital transformation. So Vietnam cannot stay out of the game. Retailers in Vietnam have to get into that game, convert their domestic traditional brick and mortar method into the new one with e-commerce, with omni-channels, with online retailing, combined of delivering and also the payment, with advanced payment as well.
The Vietnamese retail market is in the process of restructuring. According to a survey by market research company Asia Plus, as of March this year, the number of supermarkets decreased by 12% compared to 2019. Meanwhile, the number of convenience stores increased by 60%. Some retailers must reduce their stores and change their operation model to adapt to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Chúng tôi cũng chưa thể được dự đoán một cái tình hình nó sáng sủa trong cái tương lai của cái ngành bán lẻ và đặc biệt ngành trang sức hệ thống bán lẻ thì chúng tôi sẽ tái cấu trúc lại. Hiện nay thì các bạn thấy chúng tôi phân ra tùy theo thị trường khu vực thì nó sẽ có những mô hình cửa hàng ở cấp độ và ở cái hình thái nó khác nhau.
Habits of young urban customers with high familiarity with digital technology and busy and modern lifestyles have shifted to buying more goods online. Therefore, although the Vietnamese retail landscape remains predominantly offline, the market has also seen the rise of e-commerce and online shopping.
What is good is that right now we do have the very good logistics like Grab, and also we do have the very nice payment of the mobile like Momo. So I still strongly believe that to have the physical store is very important in Vietnam market. So the key is going to be the omni-channel.
Retailers themselves have actively cooperated with fintech companies to diversify payment methods for their customers.
Những cái công cụ thanh toán không tiền mặt như là qua thẻ ngân hàng hay là những cái ví điện tử sẽ là những cái công cụ thanh toán chính.
Online shopping and non-cash payments are forecasted to continue to boom in the coming time. Changing strategies to adapt such customer behaviors will help retailers better survive and develop during this restructuring period.
Now, what opportunities can large free trade agreements such as the EVFTA bring about for the retail sector in Vietnam?
When we enter the EVFTA and working with EVFTA, EU business partner, Vietnamese retailer will have ability to access to high quality products, internationally branded products with reduced tariff. Secondly, Vietnamese retailer can participate into the global production network and also supply chain worldwide as well. And the third one, we expect that the big investment will come into Vietnam that will improve the retail market in Vietnam, and also the Vietnam retailers with the business partner with EU, they will have chance to learn from advanced technology, management capabilities, and also learn in innovation in retail as well. So that will bring benefits not only to retailers in Vietnam but also the consumer in Vietnam.
Do you think European firms would look for merger and acquisition opportunities or invest in Vietnamese domestic retailers as a way to enter the Vietnamese retail market?
Well, actually, I can say they have two opportunities. The first one is like to cooperate with Vietnamese retailer who already have the experience in markets, who have knowledge in markets, and also the store chain in Vietnam as well. But that will create, somehow the requirement that both parties have to understand each other very much, and also they have to clear about the strategy in order to cooperate in the future. And that strategy must be in line with each other in order to be successful in that option. But the second option as well, we see that they can do the M&A with Vietnamese retailer in order to immediately enter into the market and immediately to get into the consumer. But that decision was pretty much based on how the Vietnam market is potential in the future, the growth of the retail market, and also the spending of consumer in Vietnam. Because M&A is very big investment, and they have to do analysis very deeply to understand. And they also need to understand the culture of Vietnamese consumer in spending, in choosing the products and preference in how they spending before they make a decision on M&A transaction in Vietnam.
Now, how much pressure will the domestic retail firms face in rising competition as a result from EVFTA?
With the EVFTA, the commitment from Vietnam is that we will remove the barriers for market access and also the policy that favors local companies. So it means that we have open market to foreign players. So if they come into Vietnam with very high and advanced technologies, strong finance resources, and also the high management capabilities, they will put much pressure on Vietnam retailers. From our point of view, we also see that Vietnam's retailer will face challenge in keeping their talent at this moment because of the attractive offer from retailer from EU.
According to the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, nearly a half of tariffs applying to EU products exported to Vietnam will be eliminated. This means that Vietnamese customers can buy EU products with cheaper prices.
Cái sản phẩm mà từ châu Âu thì đặc biệt là như Pháp hay Ý thì các sản phẩm từ bơ, sữa, phô mai thì đều là những sản phẩm rất là chất lượng tốt. Thế nên tôi cũng hy vọng là cái hiệp định đấy nhanh chóng được triển khai và sẽ có nhiều người tiêu dùng sẽ có những cái lợi ích tốt hơn với những cái sản phẩm mà họ được sử dụng từ những cái thị trường rất là khó tính như châu Âu.
Over 20 EU partners introduced their products to this retail chain in June with the aim of entering the Vietnamese market.
Trong thời gian gần đây thì các nhà xuất khẩu của Pháp, của châu Âu cũng đã liên hệ với tập đoàn BRG để chào hàng của mình. Nhờ cái EVFTA thì cái giá cung cấp cho khách hàng Việt Nam hy vọng là sẽ giảm xuống và người tiêu dùng Việt Nam có thêm nhiều cái sự lựa chọn. Những thị trường lớn như là Hà Nội, Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh thì khách hàng đã quan tâm nhiều hơn đến vấn đề về chất lượng sản phẩm và đặc biệt là về thương hiệu và uy tín của nhà sản xuất đó. Và điều này thì có vẻ như là những hàng hóa của châu Âu đang có ưu thế.
Market insiders say that the imports of EU products to Vietnam will increase by 10 to 30% in the time to come, increasing competition for domestic companies.
Một số cái mặt hàng mà Việt Nam cũng sẽ phải chịu cái sự cạnh tranh tương đối lớn từ các nước EU. Tôi nói ví dụ như lĩnh vực dược phẩm, hóa mỹ phẩm hay một số các cái đồ gia dụng trong nhà hoặc ngay cả một số cái sản phẩm nông nghiệp.
Acknowledging such great potential, experts say that the EU retail chains may consider investing in Vietnam to penetrate the markets.
Now, which aspect of retail will face the greatest competition pressure and which one can become an advantage for domestic retail enterprises to develop niche markets?
The EVFTA, the import duty will be reduced. Dairy products, textile garment, edible meat, that including beef and pork, and fishery, wine and spirit will be some product sector that will have a big challenge and also high competition in the future. Besides that, we also see the traditional method of brick and mortars and even the e-commerce retailer in Vietnam will face challenge when competing with EU retailer when they enter into the market. So if they want to focus on niche market, what we see the retailer in Vietnam should focus on their strength. What is the advantages at this moment? So with retailer already operate in Vietnam, they have quite a number of store chain and also the knowledge and understanding of culture of consumer in Vietnam. So that will be the niche market in order to invest into the design of products that meet the local tastes, even the food or beverage. And also with the COVID-19 impact, the focus of consumer in Vietnam now focus much on health and well-being. So green products and the safety of products will be the focus of consumer in the future.
How can domestic firms improve their capabilities to better compete with EU rivals?
We see that it's not how big the company is, but the most important question is how fast the company is. They able to make quick and effective decisions. That will be the key players for them to get the success in the future. So our recommendation is that the local players, they need to maintain an effective management structure that allows them to make a quick and effective decision to seize business opportunities. They have to work together. They have to make a cooperation and also to build an ecosystem which has complete supply chain to increase their purchasing powers, increase their opportunities to get into the consumer in all kinds of categories and all kinds of products. And the last one, what we suggest and already talk widely at this moment is about digital transformation. No retailers can stay out of this game. They have to apply digital transformation and also to shift their traditional channel method into omni-channel using various technologies and provide and improve the consumer purchasing experience with advanced payment method, with e-wallet, with cashless checkout.
In order to improve competitiveness against EU rivals, experts advise domestic enterprises to utilize their strengths to enhance their value chains.
Tại thị trường trong nước thì họ có cái cách tiếp cận và cái mối quan hệ với các doanh nghiệp phân phối tốt hơn, thì chúng ta cũng phải tận dụng để làm sao mà thành một cái chuỗi từ sản xuất đến lưu thông phân phối thì sẽ giảm được các cái chi phí trong cái việc mà đưa sản phẩm đến tay người tiêu dùng.
In addition to enhancing cooperation between manufacturers and distributing companies, experts say that application of technologies and payment method diversification can also help domestic retailers improve their competitiveness. Meanwhile, some domestic retailers have made their move to expand the network of their stores across the country through franchising.
Đối với các cái tỉnh xa, các cái tỉnh phía Bắc thì tôi nghĩ rằng là chính những cái bản thân những người nhận nhượng quyền là những người ở địa phương thì người ta sẽ tiếp cận cái văn hóa ở địa phương để người ta quản trị các cái mô hình này ở tại địa phương đó là tốt nhất. Cái hình thức nhượng quyền là cái hình thức mà chúng tôi đi là hiện nay và nó cũng có các cái tín hiệu rất tốt.
Besides, some retailers have also invested in digital transformation in order to optimize their operations and reach more customers.
Mergers and acquisition is said to be an effective solution for domestic retailers to improve their competitiveness and also their capital, while franchising is to reduce costs and also expand their network. So what can you tell us about this trend?
If we talk about mergers and acquisitions, this is really a high-level playground and also very expensive game. So if the retailer want to expand their market, they can choose to do M&A. But this M&A must be considered in various aspects, and they need to have enough information and also the deep analysis on the market. Of course, they need to work with reliable consulting firm to support them in M&A activities because you're gonna spend a lot of money and expect the return in the future. In Vietnam report, we also see that the research saying the M&A is only the third rank in all the opportunities that retailer can apply to their business. The first one is still the supply chain optimization. The second one is how to develop the new sales and marketing strategy, which include omni-channel and also online marketing as well. So beside the M&As, as you just said, franchise is also an option, and that gonna reduce the cost for them and how to enter into the market. But the question is how well known the franchise with the consumer in Vietnam. If the franchise has a well-known name, they will have better advantages to enter into the market, to get attention of the consumer.
How can Vietnamese retail company utilize technology and digital transformation to maximize their operation effectiveness and attract customers, thereby better compete with EU firms?
Now retail, they have moved into the model that is consumer-centric. So all the activities that the retailer have to do is to improve the consumer experience in purchasing. Both brick and mortar and e-commerce players have to think about their strategy to meet the consumer demand and to improve the purchasing experience. For example, let's say for brick and mortar retailers, they will have to invest into digital technologies and how to create the convenient shopping experience for consumer. For example, the technology already applies, for example, is automated or unmanned retail context. Or the other thing is like the scan and go, where the consumer can choose the products and then check out without any assistance from supporter, and they can make payment by contactless means. For e-commerce, what we see that the e-commerce have to take this one into the longer term. They have to attract the consumer by providing them with flexibility and transparency purchasing experience. For example, the consumer now, they expect that they can check their deliveries or they can choose specific delivery time slot.
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
According to consulting firm McKinsey & Company, Vietnam's retail market is the fastest growing in Southeast Asia with great potential. Therefore, it has been attracting many foreign investors, especially from EU countries, with the EVFTA being ratified. Increasing technological application and innovating business strategies are set to help domestic retailers improve their own capabilities to not lose market shares to their foreign rivals, along with their own competitive advantage to well understanding the market. And that also wraps up this edition of BizLine. Feel free to log on to our official website at vtv4.vtv.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go, or simply download our app VTV Go for more news and entertainment. Thanks for tuning in, and goodbye from Hanoi.